Rich is dead. Poor bastard.
Hello and welcome to episode 85 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
What's going on?
As usual, there's going to be two top 10 lists, the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. Number 10 is the games we've played the least. Number 1 is the games we've played the most. That's it, John, let's do this thing.
My number 10 is a game called Kickbeat on PlayStation Vita, a game that you told me to play. I hadn't heard of it. I thought you meant Dive Kick, another game that I'd meant to play on Vita, which I still haven't played, that fighting game. Don't know if you've heard of that. Anyway, I haven't played that. I've played Kickbeat, which is a combination of a beat-em-up and a rhythm action game, which sounds like my cup of tea, obviously, and yours. Now, how it works is you're a dude that stands in the middle of the screen, and he is approached by enemies from above, from the right, from below, and from the left, at 90 degrees from each, just like the face buttons of a control pad. And when the enemies come to you, you hit the appropriate button. That's the basic game, and they come in time to the music. So you smack them to the beat, as it were. You kick them to the beat. It's fine. It's quite good. The idea is great, to be honest, and it looks nice. When I was playing it, and I only played the trial, I haven't played the full game, but when I was playing it, when you play a really great rhythm action game, it kind of gives you enough feedback that you almost feel like you're interacting with the music. Yeah. And this kind of felt like I was in time with the music, but it wasn't really the way the sound effects work when you kick or hit the enemies. It didn't really feel like it was part of the music; it just felt like the music was there, and so it didn't really get me into that same sort of flow state as something like Rock Band Blitz or even when we used to play Samba de Amigo back in the day on the control pad. It didn't quite give me that, but I still enjoyed what I played. It does stuff like the enemies will be coming from the different directions, and then perhaps they'll come but 2 at a time, so you have to press 2 at a time, or you have to do a thing where you have to do a double tap, or different colour enemies come on the upbeat instead of downbeat. All cool. I went and checked out some reviews of it, and it's really mixed actually. But the thing is that all of the negative reviews, almost all of them, slate the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack is stuff ranging from bands like Pendulum through to a lot of like new metal stuff, weirdly, Papa Roach and things like that. And everyone's like, "Oh, new metal's awful." Fine if you hate new metal. I used to like it when I was a kid. Most of it is pretty bad these days. But one thing that I've known from playing a lot of this genre of game is that a bad song can be made good by a good rhythm action game. I really like the Pink song in Rock Band Blitz. I would never listen to that song. I'd never listened to it before, but playing it on that game, for some reason, a bad song can be a good rhythm action song. So I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I'd give it the benefit of the doubt. But I would like to play the full game, definitely. I'll hopefully get around to picking up the full thing. But it's cool.
I think I'm pretty sure a listener recommended it like before it came out, and there was like a launch trailer, and I just thought it looked great. And I think when I mentioned it to you, I wasn't in the position to play it, but now I am. So maybe I'll speak about it sometime.
Oh.
Okay, right. My number 10 is Rambo on arcade. Our mutual friend Tom came down to Brighton for the weekend, and in the middle of a sort of very, very laid-back pub crawl, we went on Brighton Pier. First of all, everything's branded. I think I might have said this before, but everything is branded. Even those sort of moving shelves that push coins down, those ridiculous things, that's still the most popular thing there. They've got Angry Birds on them.
Really?
All of everything is branded. The most popular arcade machines were Temple Run, where you just play Temple Run but with a ball, and what was the other one? Bejeweled. People were just queuing up to play games that they already have on their phones. It was quite weird. But anyway, looking through all of this stuff, and we find this Rambo, a gun arcade,
like a light gun game.
Light gun game, yeah. 2 players, and I just thought, okay, we might as well have a go on that because I've never heard of it. I don't know who's made it, and I thought it might be worth a look. As we were putting our coins into it, Tom made a very astute point, which is if it's that great, why is all of the rolling insert coin footage from the films and not the game itself? Which is an excellent point. And when we started the game, you can see why. Because it looks... I mean, it doesn't look like Operation Wolf, but it does not look like a game that's been made in this century, certainly.
Right.
And it shows a scene from the film. I think, Rambo 3, where you're in the desert, and then it cuts to the game. And the magazines are so large that you literally just stand there. There's no feedback at all. There's no visual feedback, and there's no rumble or anything. So, as Tom said, I remember when I spoke about the Expendables 2 game months ago, I said I might as well be grinding pepper on the screen rather than shooting. And Tom said, I feel like I'm watering someone's garden. And that's it. We were just there waving our arms left to right, and it was really easy because you just... The magazines are so huge, you occasionally shoot off screen. Just after you shot a certain number of enemies, a rage meter, you tap a button. Stallone does that scream he does from Rambo 2.
Oh,
and then,
God,
but it was so easy. I just thought, for about 5 minutes, you're just waving your arm around and getting a million kills. And I just thought, this is like the opposite of every arcade machine because it just wants you to play it. And then it does such a snide thing to try and take you by surprise. It basically cuts to that footage from Rambo 3 when he pulls the bow back in preparation to shoot a bow at that chopper.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to the game. It's like, someone shoot. It's designed to rattle you, so you just shoot, but you've got one bullet between you, and if you miss, you both lose a life. So luckily, Tom was so disinterested he didn't notice, and I just shot and I managed to get it. After that, it became ridiculously difficult, and it was like play more credits. I mean, it's rubbish. It's it feels like a relic, even though it was probably only made perhaps this year.
Really? Oh, so it's not actually ancient?
I'm pretty sure it's brand new.
That's crazy.
That might be completely wrong. I'm going on the fact of how pristine the cabinet looks.
Right.
And did I have anything? No, I should really have checked a bit further. I looked around the side of the cabinet for a developer, and I couldn't seem to find that. There's loads of footage from the movies in it, which is the best thing about it. It's rubbish. Rambo, I've spoken too much.
I remember playing a Rambo game when I was a kid on a C64, I think it was, and I thought it was amazing. But I thought every game was amazing when I was that age. I was about 6. Right, my number 9, another game with Beat in the title, Beat Sliders on PlayStation Vita. So, as people who've been listening to the podcast for the last few weeks know, I fell in love with a game called Velocity, which is made by Future Lab, who are based down in Brighton, and so decided to hoover up their back catalogue, all of which you can get on Vita, which is great. Beat Sliders was the first one that I picked up. It costs, I think, like 60p or something. You can find it on the PlayStation mobile section of the PSN store. Really interesting game. I think it was a PlayStation mobile launch game. It is basically, those sliding puzzles that are a nightmare.
Yes.
It's one of those, but it's much better because it's also a sequencer, like synth. Is that what it's called? A sequencer, like a Moog.
A Moog?
No. Why don't I ever know anything? A sequencer. So like with tracks and. A sequencer. I'm pretty sure it's called sequencer.
Okay.
So 4x4 sequencer, and each tile is a part of a track basically, and you're trying to make a song as you're doing the sliding puzzle, and it's been designed ingeniously. So even when you're doing it back to front, or the things are in the wrong place, it's still making a tune. And then when you finally do slot it all together, the tune gets better and it's more satisfying. Very, very clever. On the website, they say that this will teach you how to do sliding puzzles, but I don't think they estimated quite how bad I am at sliding puzzles. So I still couldn't do it, and it just ended up being frustrating because I've always been useless. I always remember my Man-at-Arms from He-Man sliding puzzle that I got given for Christmas when I was a little kid and just didn't understand it, and the things used to get stuck, and it was my worst toy. So that's not going to change 26 years later or whatever. Great game for people with brains. I'm not one. When
you say sliding puzzle, you mean the one where one block's missing and you have to move?
Yes.
They are horrible. A horrible invention. But how much was that? 60p, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough.
Maybe 69. It's like a nominal amount of money.
Yeah, right. Okay, my number 9 is Virtua Tennis 4 on the PlayStation Vita. I now own a PlayStation Vita. I've picked up the deal that almost everyone's picked up because I believe someone told me there was now shortages. A ridiculous deal that Argos did. But anyway, Virtua Tennis 4 came free with it. I turned it on just to have a look. I still like Virtua Tennis 4. The stupid board game campaign where you're moving you buy those tickets. Did you ever play through
I don't think I played the campaign.
Oh, it's daft. I mean, you move around this map and you have to get given these tickets and they equate to different numbers of moves. I mean, it's stupid, but I really quite enjoy it. It looks really good on the Vita. I mean, almost
I've heard that, yeah,
almost the same as I say it looks on the larger consoles. But the player sprites look rubbish. I mean, they look like they belong on a PSP. I mean, there's no detail. I mean, I've just picked a generic guy. Created, a randomly created character, and he had blonde hair, and so the back of his head, he just looked like a Lego man. And it was just nice. It was the first thing I put in the Vita when I got it. It's still, there are still annoyances with I don't know. There's still aspects of the PlayStation 3, like I went to go and play online. It's like upgrade the live area, and I was like, "What the fuck is the live area?" And I searched around for it, and I couldn't find it. And you have to go. It just made me jump through hoops. It annoyed me. But anyway, Virtual Sense 4, it's fine. If you want to buy it, you can pick it up for a penny. Because I think 90% of the people who got it with this bundle put theirs on eBay. Because I had a look yesterday, and there's 6,000 ending in 1 second, and they're all going for less than 1p. If that's something. So if you want it,
do that.
Yeah, it's 0 pence.
No,
1p. Sorry.
1 penneth. Okay. It always actually. I've heard that was good. I think it was on PS Plus at one point, but I missed it. But I always quite fancy playing it.
Shell out a penny. Check for one of those
I'll shell a pen.
who's selling it for 1p, and you're laughing.
I'll spend a penny. My number 8 is a game called Fuel Tiracas, another Future Lab game, and another PlayStation Mobile launch game, and another very cheap game. I think this is also around the same price. It's certainly under £1. This, I think, is probably an inferior game to Beat Sliders, if I was being objective, but I enjoyed it a lot more. It's kind of a combination of Simon Says and spinning plates. Basically, the conceit is that you're trying to fuel space stations, I think, or satellite stations on a made-up planet called Tiracas. But all that actually means is that there's 6 circles on the screen, and dots will appear in the circles, and you have to quickly hit them. It's a touchscreen game. You have to hit the dots as soon as they come up before they're actually circles that deplete very quickly. So you want to hit them as quickly as you can, and that'll fuel up a bar in the middle of the screen. As you get 2 or 3 levels in, you get multiple bars, which are multiple things you have to fuel up, and you have to get them to a certain level. So you can switch between them, tap, 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 and fuel it up, and then the idea is you're getting it all above a certain level, and then that'll fuel up the thing, and then you've done it. It's kind of frantic, and it's fun to play, but where it's clever is what could just be an ordinary Simon Says game. It actually operates in patterns, so as you play it more, the way that the dots appear on the screen start to fall into patterns that you recognise, so you can start doing it ridiculously quickly, to the point where I think I finished the first mission or level or whatever you want to call it in a couple of minutes, and I didn't think I'd done well at all. And then the leaderboard comes up at the end, and I thought, okay, well, I imagine someone's done it in half that time or something. But the top one was about 6 seconds, and I thought, how the fuck is that even humanly possible? And I thought maybe it was just a glitch or they just spammed it or something. But as you go through all the levels, all the top scores are by the same 3 or 4 people, and they're all ridiculously low. And it's not like there's these 4 scores and then everyone else is in 2 or 3 minutes or something. It gradually goes down. So it shows that if you do learn the patterns, and the more you play it, you can actually just hammer the game at an almost like, and just do the whole thing like that. I don't understand how you could ever get that good at it. But it's good fun, and I'm happy that I got it. I think both of those games, Fuel Tiracas and Beat Sliders, were made very quickly to be PlayStation Mobile launch titles, and considering how little time that they had, they managed to make 2 pretty fun games, to be honest.
But I mean, I suppose that they're on the up and up, so they might rework those ideas at some point on maybe on Vita or on.
They might. I can see Beat Sliders going again. I can't see this one having much more room in it, because it is a very simple game. I can't really see how they could improve it or make it really worth a re-release, but they might surprise me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Well, my number 8 is Hotline Miami on the PlayStation Vita.
Nice.
The second thing I did after downloading Virtual Tennis 4 was download this, because I just thought, I forgot. That's one of the coolest things about the Vita. I should have hooked up my Vita to my PlayStation so that I could have imported my save, but I was 5 seconds into downloading it from the Vita store, and I was like, fuck, I don't care. I mean, it's a great excuse to start again, start racking up some more high scores. I was going to say it's £3 something or £2 if you're on PS Plus, ridiculous, but it just got announced that it's going to be on the American PS Plus for free. Does that how it works? Is it America and then us? Does that work like that, or is it?
No, it's different. It's just different.
Oh shit! So it might not come out for free at all.
No, but it might do later. But it's not going to because it's gone there. If that makes any sense.
Oh right. So if it goes in one territory first, it doesn't come to anywhere else.
No, they're always different. R1's normally better.
Okay.
Generally, our PS Plus is better than the American one overall.
Fair enough. Okay. Oh, in that case, it's about £2 on PS Plus, so just buy it. I mean, I need to get used to the new thumbsticks before I can get as good as I felt I was on the PlayStation 3 version. But
Sure.
I mean, I have a feeling that the PS Vita is going to be my Hotline Miami machine for the foreseeable future. But we'll see about that.
The PS Vita, did you say?
Is that what I said? Yeah.
I thought I couldn't hear if you said 3 or Vita. Yeah, it's beautiful on that machine, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks all white.
Yeah, amazing game, brilliant game. My number 7 then is Pro Evolution Soccer 2014. Finally it works online on 360, or does it? Because today I put it back on to try and play online, and now, I mean, I can't believe this is even a thing. I can't believe I even have to say what I'm going to say right now. It's went down for maintenance, as it does, as online games do, especially games that don't have the huge amounts of servers of an EA game, for example. And now it's come back up and it says, your Pro Evolution Soccer 2014 is out of date. Please go and update it. I'm paraphrasing, but words to that effect. And you're like, what? What does that mean? There is no update. There has been no update. And you can't play online because of that. Now, this was a few hours ago. It might have been fixed by now. But the fact is, I wanted to play it online. I'd waited a month. The thing worked. I finally downloaded a data pack. I've probably played maybe 5 games online. I'll talk about them briefly in a minute. And now it's broken again in a way that's absolutely baffling. Fucking sort it out. This is a joke. It is a joke. An absolute disgrace. That company. I've never seen anything like it from a major publisher. Absolute joke. And the game itself online, finally get it working online. And it's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. It has the same amount of button lag as it had about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe in Pro Evolution Soccer 2011. So the input lag's almost a second. You go to change your player, and you can count a full beat, and then it will change the player. That makes it unplayable, obviously. You go to shoot, and the guy takes an extra touch. You can't play a football game like that. It is impossible. I had... most of my games are like that. Some was less, and one was actually decent. The button lag was probably a quarter of a second, so you could just about compensate for it. It still wasn't good enough, but I could just about compensate for it. Went 3-0 up, and the guy quit. And they don't get punished for quitting. What? They don't get punished for quitting? I wouldn't have a paddy. I'm so annoyed at myself for giving it a high score now.
Yeah. I suppose that's the problem, is that you don't... I mean, the most important aspects of it you can't test until later.
No, I mean, but 2013 was glorious online. You know, it's still weird in the way it would say that you couldn't connect first time, and that, it's hardly very slick. But once you got into your match, there was minimal lag, no button lag at all, and it worked great, and the matches were brilliant. So I just assumed that'll be the same. And even if it's slightly worse, you don't assume that it's just not going to work for a month. It's not good enough. It really isn't.
Yeah, I've been so busy that I haven't had time to play it, so I've kind of let this bypass me. But there was a point before it got fixed, I should say, where I did think, this is one of the first times in ages I felt like being one of those shitheads that goes, man, where's my fucking game, man? Because I was so angry. I was like, you can't charge people this amount of money for something that fundamentally does not work. And I'm sure well over 50% of people who buy that game buy it to play it online. Yeah, I mean, it is criminal. I'd like to. I mean, the thing is that they've been so good at just ignoring this and turning a blind eye to it that I don't think anything. Rockstar are giving people 500 grand or whatever as an apology for that, and other publishers have done similar things. This is the worst of that. This is worse than anything you could compare it to off the top of my head. So, and
definitely a month.
Yeah. What are they going to do?
I don't know. Now it doesn't work again. Outrageous. Apparently, it's coming out in Japan in November. So a lot of people are saying that it wasn't even done. They just rushed it out, and now they're patching it, because our one's getting patched in November as well when the Japanese one comes out, and they're saying that's when it'll be sorted. I wish I'd. I mean, it was impossible to know this stuff when you're playing the review version. I played it. I really, really enjoyed it. I couldn't play online. I loved everything that I played, but now that's not good enough. And when it finally works, it's unplayable. Oh. Just want to play the game.
They probably will fix it at some point, but it's still, I mean, then they should have, it shouldn't have gone on sale like this. I mean, it's absolutely not on.
No.
Feck. Okay. All right, okay, well, my number 7 is a game called Generic Space Shooter on the Xbox 360.
Indie game?
It's an indie game, yeah, and it's really, really not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. It's a sort of asteroid stroke Geometry Wars knockoff, and it's got 2 very good systems to it. One of them is that you have a very limited amount of... you can slow down time for about 30 seconds, use it very sparingly, and you can also only fire in the direction of your choice if you stop. So it's a twin thumbstick shooter, but you can only, if you're moving, you can only fire forwards. It's unbelievably difficult. I mean, it's rock hard. It's more unapologetically old-fashioned than most shooters, and that's saying something because there is a real sort of retro craze at the moment with regards to shooters like this. Everything, absolutely everything, your ships, the enemy ships, your fire is tiny. I mean, absolutely tiny. So the amount of precision that it demands, especially when you're sort of moving around quickly, is quite something. It's really rewarding when you get it right, though. And there are some really cool weapons. You fire shots and they sort of freeze alongside you. You fire them and then they stop, and then you've got this sort of shell of move. They move along with you basically for a few seconds. So you basically fly around and you've got this dancing sort of beams of light around you. Or you can build a wall with this fire and then you direct enemies into them because they're drawn to you like a magnet, as they are in Geometry Wars. It's very simple. The worst thing about it is the worst thing with all shooters on XBlig is that there's no leaderboard support, obviously. But for such a simple idea, it's got 2 very smart systems, and it's really enjoyable. It hooks me for quite some time. I mean, it's really hard, but it's really quite good as well.
That does sound quite fun.
It is. Everyone's played. I mean, it's an Asteroids Guitar Hero. I keep saying Guitar Hero. Geometry Wars. Yeah. It's very reminiscent of those 2, and everyone's played those. But it's still a really, really good game. Surprisingly gripping it was.
Generic space shooter.
Yeah.
69p.
Yep.
Sounds all right.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Can't complain.
Talking of stuff you can't complain about for 69p, New Star Soccer.
Oh, yeah.
The update has come out, the 1.5 update, and it's a chunky one. It really is. He could have easily charged for this and called it New Star Soccer 2, I'd say. I talked about it briefly when I played it at Eurogamer, but I've had plenty more time with it now. The on-pitch stuff are really, really great improvements. The most obvious one is when you get the ball in New Star Soccer, you drag your little arrow, you aim it where you're going to aim it, you let go, then the ball comes up on screen, a separate screen, then you hit the ball. Everybody knows that. But now when you're charging up your arrow to look at where you want to pass it, 1 or 2 defenders will start closing you down, and it gives the whole game a real sense of urgency that makes it feel, it makes it feel more like football, and this doesn't really feel like football feels, but it just gives a better sense of urgency. I don't think I need to add any more than that. But also what it does, it allows you to play slightly differently, because say there was your pass you wanted to do, and before it would have been blocked off by a guy in the previous version, you could maybe try and curl the ball around that guy, but that's a risk. And now you can kind of draw him to the ball and lob it over him. So it adds a few elements there. There's headers now, which are kind of cool. What else is there on pitch? You can buy a boot that allows you to curl the ball after you've hit it, which obviously doesn't make any sense in the real world, but is really fun. So you can aim the ball right outside the post and then kind of flick the screen and it will curl back in at the last minute. Very satisfying when you get that to work. All really nice. The other stuff that's changed, less nice. They've added the stat degradation to your man. So this actually only happens about 10 or 15 years into your career, but if you continue your career, chances are you're that far into it anyway. And it means that you're constantly having to go and retrain your stats in between matches, which costs you energy. So obviously to get more energy, you have to buy the energy drinks in the game. And everything just seems to be leaning towards making you pay a little bit more real money. And that I find slightly frustrating, because it wasn't like that before. And you can now hire an agent and a trainer, and the better trainer gets you better recovery time between matches. But to get a level 2 trainer or a level 3 trainer, you have to pay real money. There's no way of buying that with the in-game currency. And so it's kind of like begrudgingly, I ended up buying a level 2 trainer for 69p, and I was sitting there feeling a bit sorry for myself. Oh, this is shit. And then I realised that in total I've paid £1.38 for this game, I think, over how many, God knows how many hours that I've played for it. I've played it, sorry, and I've spent more than that on games that I'll play for 20 minutes for this podcast and then delete off my phone multiple times. So in actual fact, I don't begrudge him earning any money at all. It's just when you've had something and then it changes, that sucks. And also, I think I'm just too old to really accept this new model of game that I just am. I think I've played games for too many years where you pay for it and then you play it, and then I don't know. It still feels ugly to me. Even though I would happily give that man. I would happily go and give that man £30 tomorrow and just give it to him and not even have anything in return. But for some reason, when the game's asking me to do it, I don't like it. But Rational Brain came in and it's absolutely fine. But the in-game stuff's fine. He's actually acknowledged some of the stuff that people aren't liking so far, and he may tweak it himself as well because he's a very smart man. So yeah, it's great, really.
Yeah. So I suppose it would have been better if he just. I suppose you can't have either or. I was going to say if he had the option to charge 69p for the update or have it as. I suppose it's difficult. I mean, yeah, when you said that, it sounded so chivalrous when he was. Giving it away for nothing, but then again, if he's tinkered with the but I suppose he's got to make money somehow. It's just that I think that knowing how he probably would have done better to just charge 69p for 2.0 or whatever it's been called, the update. But yeah,
it's 1.5, but I agree, but I do think he's probably going to make a bit more money this way. And what was I going to say? Ultimately, if you are going to do it, I think 169p purchase to get that new trainer is probably necessary with the amount, especially if you're going to continue your career. So you are having to train up all the time. If you start a new career, you can do the first 10 odd years, which will take you a hell of a long time without stat degradation. So you don't need to worry. And once you paid that 69p, if you are continuing your career, I don't think you're going to need to pay any more. You can do, but you always could do anyway. But I don't think you'd need to. You don't really need to do that either. But I've just found it's been a bit easier since I have. But it's nothing.
Why not just start another career?
I will. I'm going to now.
Oh, okay.
All right. I didn't really. It took me a little while to kind of realise what was going on.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'll play that game again one day. Maybe.
Don't.
No, I won't. Okay, my number 6 is Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360. Battlefield 4 is out a week Friday, I think.
Fucking hell.
So it's out very soon. So
1 week from the day you're hearing this, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, we were going to do our usual thing of getting together on Friday night and having like a see you later batters sort of session like we always do whenever we finish. Yeah. Whenever we sort of bin off a game we've been playing loads, we always have like a remember the days. But anyway, it didn't really work. But even though the beta for Battlefield 4 was not great, as the beta back in the day for Battlefield 3 wasn't great, its existence kind of renders this one irrelevant. So we were kind of there. We had fun, but it was kind of like we could be playing GTA rather than doing this. Why are we doing this? I mean, it's very much Battlefield 4 is Buzz Lightyear, and this is fucking the cowboy, and we're just like, great cowboy, all right, but I want to go and play with Buzz Lightyear. So I mean, I can't wait for Xbox One on the platform. Actually, no, I'll have it on 360 and then Xbox One later. But I'm looking forward to it. Battlefield 3 was great, but I feel like I've already said goodbye to it.
Oh,
yeah, sad times.
It's quite sweet.
Hell of a game though.
Yeah, I actually had a couple of games on the PC version again. I thought I wouldn't bother talking about it, but yeah, it almost like a new lease of life for it playing on that. I think, in fact, it is actually quite different because there's double the amount of players. But I am now looking forward to 4, definitely. But again, I don't know if I'll get it next week.
Well, I mean, I always thought I want to compare them. But the more I think about it, the more because it really did look so lousy on the beta. But then again, it's not going to look like that. I don't know. I'm going to play it anyway. Well, who am I kidding?
Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, it will still be like Christmas when the new one comes.
True that.
All right, my number. Where are we? Number 5.
Yep.
Is the final Future Lag game this week? Surge on PlayStation Vita. This is their other game that they released after Velocity. It's a match 3 type game. This is like it's still a PlayStation mobile game, but it feels more like a home on the Vita as well. As always with these types of games, explaining the conceit is actually quite difficult, but I'll try my best. Match 3, based on colours, you've got a bunch of squares on the left, a bunch of squares on the right of a horizontal screen. The idea is that pressure is building up on both sides, and you have to get rid of the squares to basically get rid of enough squares so there's nothing touching the side, and then you can press a valve to release some of the pressure. How you connect the squares is by dragging your finger between them. So say there's a pink square on the right and 2 pink squares on the left. You drag your finger, making a line between them to make the 3. And you can do any amount of the same colour. The thing about it, though, is it's really, really fast, and there's the pounding dance music to play along to. So you're playing at 100 miles an hour, basically, and it's really fun. I mean, it's a really good game. It has little tricks in it whereby there are special blocks that might quickly change all the colour, all the blocks the same colour, so you can quickly smash through them. There are things like blocks that change colour, so you have to time it right. There are, as you play more, you start to see where it's a good idea to link some blue blocks quickly, because if after that there's going to be a bunch of pink blocks that you can access that's going to get you a much higher score. But you're making decisions really fast, really, really fast. You clear the level, the next one comes, clear the level, the next one comes, and it just gets you into a kind of not a trance, but kind of almost like a march, like a forward march. You just keep going, and it's nothing like Velocity to play, but it kind of has its same spirit. And I thought it was really cool, and it's definitely something that I'm going to play a lot of.
Is this another mini?
It's just a PlayStation mobile game. Yeah, it's just on there. This one's maybe £2.
Okay. Surge.
But Surge, yeah, very good.
Frenchman or a Surge of Energy?
Surge of Energy.
I knew that. I don't know why I asked.
It'd be good if it was the other one.
Indeed. With what's his name from Beverly Hills Cop? Pure Gleam.
I thought it was going to be the guy from Eurotrash. Was he even called Surge? No, it's called Antoine.
Antoine, exactly.
Yeah, forget what I'm talking about, as always.
Okay, all right. Well, my number 5 is a game called Killzone Mercenary on the PlayStation Vita.
Oh, nice! I've been wanting to play this.
Yeah, I've played the opening stretch of the campaign twice, and I had completely opposite reactions to it. The first time, I was not having any of it. I was really unimpressed. It starts off and there's too long. The cutscenes are too long for a mobile game. I was like, this is stupid. I'm watching like just over 5 minutes of cutscenes that aren't interesting. The opening level starts and you fly this wingsuit into this facility, and it's all very Black Ops 2. So I thought, well, that's bollocks. You start playing the game, and it's got to be one of the most influential systems ever in any genre. But for every first-person shooter, it feels like it opens where you're following a guy around, and he tells you what to do. Shoot him, and I'll shoot the other guy. I'm sure that originated with COD, didn't it?
COD 4, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was in Crisis 3. I mean, it's something I'm really tired of. And you're just following this guy around. It's like, all right, okay. And then he's like, go into that room. I'm going to hack a terminal. Cover me. And I'm like, come on, really? Are we doing this again? It ticks all the boxes. It's the stuff you've done a million times. I mean, it looks really, really impressive. But I stopped playing and just thought, I'm done with that. And also, it's weird because the ammo's so scarce and you have to pick it up. It kind of, if you forget to pick up ammunition, I kept running out of ammo, and I was like, I was waiting for it to come and say, "Do you want to buy some ammo?" It felt like a free-to-play mechanic because it was so scarce. Because it's not a stealth game. It looked amazing, but I was not having any of it, and I was confident that I was done with it. And then the other day, I picked it up and tried multiplayer, and multiplayer was really, really terrific. I mean, it kind of nicks a few ideas from Halo. So you've got these care packages that look like sort of massive, they come from the sky, and they've got sort of COD style care packages. There's condensation on the screen because it's like this really damp level I played on. I was like, wow, that just feels like them showing off. I didn't see that in the campaign, so it does look good. I mean, if you've been waiting for a Killzone game on the Vita, this is not going to disappoint you visually or in terms of gameplay, because when I played the campaign the second time, I just had none of the reaction to it. I was just like, wow, this is so cool. I'm actually playing a first-person shooter on the Vita that looks good. It plays really nice, and I think part of it is the fact that the second time I tackled it stealthily, so you shoot out cameras and stuff. I mean, it's all old hat, but seeing it, the console is just flying in your hands. I mean, it doesn't quite. I mean, the performance, it can't maintain that level of performance. So during combat, like the action will freeze for like a fraction of a second while you're shooting, which is not ideal. But it doesn't happen all the time. It happens. It happens, but it's not too drastic. So it's really weird. I had such a negative reaction to it. The problem is that I still do think that the Vita and the PSP before it it's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. I don't. When I first bought the PSP and I was playing Ridge Racer, I did have this hollow feeling like what. if someone came up to me and said, I might buy a Vita, I will say, do you commute? And if you don't, I'd say I probably wouldn't get one because. Yeah, but on the other hand, if someone said, should I buy a 3DS? I wouldn't even ask. I'd say yes because I play the 3DS at home all the time. This, I mean, if the Vita continues to go down the route of sort of prioritising indie games and stuff like that, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
But as good as Killzone Mercenary was, I was just like, I could be playing Battlefield. Why would I sit in my home and play a first person? But then again, if you're out and about a lot, I think that's what we'll see. Because it is impressive and it is actually genuinely well made, as derivative as it is. It's hard.
Well, that's kind of why I haven't played it because, I'm not commuting a lot at the moment. I haven't had to travel for a little while, and it's it's not really something that I'm interested in playing on a handheld. Even though it looks cool, and I've heard that it's really good, especially the multiplayer, and I do want to play it, but I don't necessarily want to lay down cash for it when I could pay nothing basically for a game like Surge, which is much better suited to a handheld and is such a low risk proposition as well to drop a couple of quid on it.
Yeah.
And every time that it's like Uncharted on the Vita, I still haven't got through that. As much as I go, this is really cool, it doesn't feel special. It just feels like an almost as good as the home console version that I'm playing on a smaller screen. I don't know. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It does just kind of leave me hollow. I'm saying that as someone who played this earlier today, and I was sitting there on the verge of being giddy. I was like, look at this, and it feels good. There's I like Killzone. I mean, I especially like Killzone 3, but I'm not one of those people that thinks that it's just a rubbish game. I do think those are pretty good games. It's 3 especially, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I still kind of thought, but this is the closest I've come to kind of thinking this is good enough for me to overlook the fact that I'm sitting indoors playing a handheld because it is genuinely really very good. Me and my girlfriend are going to play a lot of multiplayer, and I'll play more of the campaign. So I'll talk more about it next week probably.
Did it come with the bundle? Did it?
Yeah, the bundle was Killzone, Virtua Tennis, an 8 gig memory card, and the console, the Wi-Fi 3G console for 140 quid. So
bloody hell.
Exactly. See, that's the other thing because before I always have a problem with handheld devices sort of depleting. Valuables like that just sit there unused, they kind of make my skin crawl. But I think I'll use this a lot more than I would have done if it was, if I'd have bought it, several months ago. That would have just bothered me. But now there's indies and all that sort of stuff. So
it's already becoming the handheld that I've used the most since the original Game Boy, I think. I said just don't play. I never DS, 3DS. I played them, but not much. But
really?
I'm always playing this. Yeah, I'm just weird like that.
Bearing in mind that most of the indie games on the Vita, though, were on PC, why would you not play them on your PC?
Because they're way better on the Vita. Why wouldn't you play it on that amazing screen in your hand instead of sitting at your desk like you do all day for work?
But your PC is in your lounge.
I put it in my lounge when you came.
Oh, right, okay. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. That's that mystery solved. My number 4, another mystery to solve, the Stanley Parable on PC. Like I said. Now, last week, was it last week? It was last week, wasn't it? I talked about the demo, which is a standalone thing, and people should check that out. And the main game is, as far as I'm aware, because I didn't play the original mod for Half-Life 2, it's basically the same thing, but with a lot more content. Now, a lot of people said you don't want to spoil it and all this sort of stuff, so I won't spoil it. Basically, you play as someone called Stanley. He works in a cubicle. He spends all his day typing numbers into the computer, and one day he wakes up and everybody in the office has disappeared and he doesn't know what to do. There's a narrator, like an English voice narrator, speaking over the whole thing, and he is trying to guide you in a certain direction to do certain things, because the game is about choice, and quickly you come to 2 doors and you can choose. The narrator, before you get to them, says, and Stanley chose the left door, but obviously you can just go down the right way, and the whole game is about pushing back against this narrator, poking with the game, poking with the content, just trying to see what you can provoke, and everything that you poke at, everything that you try has a response. Has like a story thread, has a route to a new ending, has full narration. It's very clever. It's like very chin-strokingly clever. It's occasionally quite funny. It's very impressively written, but I would be lying if I say that I really liked it. And I think that's kind of different to a lot of people's opinions. I want to play it some more and poke at it some more and find some different endings, because there's plenty more content in the game that I haven't got to. But every time I did anything in the game, it left me with the kind of response of like, huh, yeah, that's clever, rather than actually making me happy or laugh properly. I don't know. It was a bit too chin stroking for me. A bit too chin strokey for me. That's a terrible adjective, but it's very clever, very impressive, very worthy, but it just didn't quite do it for me. Maybe it's not quite my sense of humour as well, I think. A little bit, I don't know. I can't quite work it out what it is about it that it didn't quite do it for me. But I still want to play more, and it's cool that it exists, and it's not hugely expensive either. It's only about £8 or something like that. And I definitely recommend it. Regardless, I definitely recommend that people play it and see what they think and see if they enjoy it, because it seems to really be working for a lot of people. I've read a lot of articles, and it's got very high review scores and things. So it does seem to be working a lot more for other people, and it's done very well as well, which is excellent to hear. 100,000 copies in the first few days, I think. Yeah. So that's great that something like that can really do, blockbuster numbers, basically. For 3 days, 100,000 is proper. That's really big numbers, so that is cool. But yeah, the Stanley Parable, it's hard to go into exactly why it didn't quite gel with me without going into the specifics of what happens in the game. And I don't want to do that, because that's unfair to someone who wants to go and discover this game, because this is a game about discovery, about choice, it's a game about games as well. I don't know, it just kind of left me a little cold, but I still recommend it.
For that price as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not. It looks nice. It feels nice. Everything about it's kind of lavish. Not that I mean it's got like amazing particle effects and the detail's incredible, but the voiceover is really well acted, and there's so much there, and it will more than likely raise a smile often and make you think. And it's way more intelligent than most games, but I think it's very, very aware of how intelligent it is, and maybe that's the thing that puts me off it.
Okay, did you? I can't remember whether. I'm sure I asked you this last week. Is there a Mac version?
I think the Mac version is either due very shortly or it's out already.
Okay, all right. I'm none the wiser about what that game is, so I suppose. But I suppose
it's a first-person walking game.
Okay.
You barely interact with it. You can open a few doors, but things happen. There are many, many choices you can make, and everything that you might try and do, even if it's doing nothing, the game will react to it. So if you like systems and toying with it, maybe it's that type of. I've talked about it before. That type of personality that likes to break everything down and see how everything works will probably get more of a kick out of it than someone who is a bit more reactive like me. But I'd be interested to hear what other people think. Tweet me if you played it, because I want to see if if it's just me, I'm the only person it hasn't worked for as much as everyone else.
Is it better than Dear Esther?
It's way more likable. I want to give Dear Esther another chance, actually, because I do. As stupid as this is to sound, I didn't realise that it was made down in Brighton, and just because, like you, that is where I was born. For some reason, that makes me want to give it another chance. I thought it was American, so I want to give it another chance. But yeah, it didn't. That definitely didn't do anything for me.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll keep one eye on that. Although,
you might love it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would guess you'd have a similar reaction to me, but. Yeah, I still recommend it because I know that people who listen to the show will like it a lot, and there's probably people who've already played it that will like it a lot.
All right, okay, well, I've got to remember to keep an eye on it. Okay, my number 4 is also a PC game. It's Warface, the new Crytek shooter that just went into beta. I think it's due out it's early next year on consoles, on current gen consoles and PC. I thought the beta was on consoles as well, so I went to download it and it wasn't, and realised it was on PC. I still wanted to try it, so I borrowed my brother's PC, and I played it for about 20 minutes. It's completely browser based, so you download some kind of plug-in, and it takes. I mean, on a very fast internet connection, it took upwards of 20 minutes to load this plug-in.
Oh, really?
And my brother was taking the piss the whole time, going, this is a lot of time to wait for a browser game. But as soon as it kicks in, I mean, it looks pretty impressive. I mean, really does look. It looks 100 times better than I was expecting, especially on a bloody browser. But it's Crytek know what they're doing. but this is, I don't know, it starts in a sun-drenched Middle Eastern sand trap, and there's a tutorial. I mean, it's basically a combination of Battlefield and COD. There's Battlefield's 4 classes. Only 2 are unlocked at the beginning, snipers and the ammo guys. But everything about the way it kind of feels is very, very Call of Duty.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. I thought it was quite... I mean, it feels nice to play just because COD feels nice to play. But... I was expecting something maybe set in the future or something that had a little bit more personality, because it really is just. Again, my little brother was taking the piss. He was like, "This is like every game I've ever played in my life." I'm like, I do know what you mean. It really is. The dialogue, everything that the people shout when you're moving around. Anyway, I did the tutorial and I was like, okay, it works. It's fine. I got used to the controls quite well. I'm starting to sort of vaguely get a grip on playing shooters with a mouse and keyboard. It seems to be. I mean, the beta is geared towards co-op, so it's 5-player co-op where you make your way through these missions. I mean, again, it's completely unoriginal. They're all infiltration missions. You get dropped off somewhere, you have to get from A to B and plant a bomb and then get out.
Right.
But in the same way that Future Soldier, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier. It really allows for different paths. So there's a lot of opportunities to boost. 2 of you can boost up, 3 of you can go along the ground, and then you can sort of cover from top and bottom. It's fun. It's one of the least original games that's ever been made. The only sort of cosmetic difference is that, you know, there's hit markers that Call of Duty basically patented, and now every shooter has. So inside the crosshair, you see those diagonal lines. Those diagonal lines are red, and they take up a massive when you hit someone, and that's strangely nice to see. It's just a 5-player co-op shooter where you run around shooting people and pressing buttons and stuff. It's completely... You've seen it a million times. It looked nice. It felt nice. I mean, I
hate the name.
Warface, yeah.
Warface. What was that? Oh, I don't know. I just hate that name.
I don't mind it so much, but I mean, as a Battlefield clone, / COD clone that's free. I mean, the other thing is that you don't know what the microtransactions are going to be like, because it's going to be free to play. I died in the opening 20 minutes while I was on this co-op mission, and I tried to get up, and it said, "You can't get up. Do you want to buy a resurrection coin?" And I was like, okay, no, I don't want to buy a fucking resurrection coin. But that was 20 minutes into the game, so I suppose you're going to be charged if you want to come back into a mission, which I suppose is not a terrible... I mean, it's too early to tell. Those systems aren't really in place yet. I can't recommend it. It's Call of Duty meshed with Battlefield. Have you ever wanted to play that? I kind of have, but I've got those two, and I'm happy to keep them separately.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't do anything for me.
I don't expect any surprises, but it's nice. It was fun. I enjoyed my time, but I don't. I mean, what do you say?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Warface. Just say Warface.
Warface. But it's free. People who can't afford to buy batters will buy it and buy the resurrection coins, and that will be that. It's good. It's fine. I was expecting more for them. Warface, whatever.
Yeah, all right. My number 3 is if the Stanley Parable wasn't really my sense of humour, my number 3 definitely is my sense of humour because it's stupid. It is Super Wagon Adventure. I think it's actually technically Super Wagon Adventure Turbo on PC. Now, I didn't realise this had come out on XBLIG last year. I thought this was brand new. But I think it's brand new on PC, so I think that's what's happened. And they've added a bunch to it. Now, what this game is a very old school style side-scrolling shooter that's... It looks like, I'm guessing, a C64 game. I'm terrible when it comes to knowing what exact machines they're aiming for with those types of retro looks.
I think I've seen the screenshot. It's very Atari, isn't it?
I don't know. It kind of reminds me of something like an educational game almost that you'd play at school on the BBC Micro or something. But anyway, that old-looking type of thing, blocky. The story is that you are 3 adventurers. Travelling across America, back when people did that to try and get to the West. And you can pick from 3 random little faces with little names, and they all have their own little health bar, and you are a wagon, and you can move up and down the screen and shoot the things that are on the right. All very kind of inauspicious to start. It has really nice chiptune music. Actually, I don't know if it is chiptune or if it's just like old instrument. I don't even know what you'd call it, but it's a really well written tunes. And at first, it just seems like a pretty generic game. At first, the first screen's always shooting some animals to pick up their hides quickly. Then it'll cut to some bandits trying to attack you, and you shoot them, dodge the bullets. And then always a bandit comes with like a chain gun on the back of their thing. And then it's anybody knows. It starts basically the game is random every time. The story is random every time, and every time you play it, different things happen, often crazy. So, for example, first time I played it, you attack the bandits, shoot the bandits, go through, there's a cave, your little dude gets off the wagon, looks in the cave. In the cave, you find some other weapons, moves on, gets to a river, tries to cross the river, there's boulders, on and on and on. That stuff happens after that. Second time, I died, basically. Second time I play it, get to the bandits, and then there's a unicorn, and it says, do you want to chase the unicorn or kill the unicorn? So I chose to kill the unicorn because you don't have time for unicorns. You're trying to get to the west. And then when I got to the river, it asked me if I wanted to jump the river or try and ford it. So I decided to jump it. But I jumped and it took me off and I ended up in space. And you end up with the wagon flying through space. And then I can't even remember what happened after that. It's just brilliant. I mean, it's genuinely made me laugh out loud many, many times. The stuff that happens is absolutely mental. To the point where stuff with the whole game breaks deliberately, and you end up fighting a fucking bunch of static and glitches and things like that. Constantly surprised me. Completely addictive. The gameplay is simple but fun. Loads of unlockables. You just never know what you're going to see next time you play through it, and genuinely made me laugh out loud. Actually out loud multiple times. In between each scene, which lasts between about 5 and 30 seconds, it just has a piece of text that comes up at the top of the screen. And it reminds me, you know, Louis C.K., when he's kind of adopting that character who's just, it's his character like after he's eaten a Cinnabon or something, where he just doesn't give a fuck, you know, he's just like, oh. And at times, the text will just adopt that kind of character, that it's just like, oh, it's some boulders, I don't care, just get on with it. And it just constantly made me laugh. The guys that make it, I think it's actually only one person. That he's just really smart and funny in a kind of stupid way. And I went on to go and read a review of it, which is how I found out that it was actually came out last year. And that turned me on to a comic called Axe Cop. Have you ever heard of Axe Cop?
No, never.
Axe Cop is a comic written by a 5-year-old but drawn by his adult brother, who was 29 at the time. Okay. I would highly, highly recommend it. It's hilarious, obviously, because 5-year-olds' imaginations are amazing. But it also reminds me of something. My brother I've talked about him before, but he's a lot younger than me. And he used to write insane stories. I think his most famous story to me was called Once Upon a Burger, about him meeting a giant and they invaded Turkey together. He was about 5 or 6. And this Axe Cop is just like that, but drawn professionally. So go and check that out. Definitely, it's all archived online. It cracks me up. But then this is just as daft as that, and at 69p, get it. Super Wagon Adventure. Just get it. Honestly, if you like me and you like stupid shit, then get it.
I remember this. I do remember this on XSplit because there was a lot of buzz about it. It was, akin to something that gets a lot of buzz. Not quite Mac Your Friends, but people were talking about it like it was something worth picking up. I don't know how it passed me by. I don't think I was obsessed with XSplit back then. I assume it's the same price on there. It must be.
I think so. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to pick that up then.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it really is great.
Okay, superb. Okay, my number 3 is so far away from superb it is not funny. My number 3 is Orc Attack Flatulent Rebellion on the Xbox 360.
Why is it your number 3?
I spoke about it last week. I played the trial. Someone contacted me and said, do you want to review it? And I was like, hey, you know what? Why not? I'm glutton for punishment. Why not? Okay, I mean, I'll try not to repeat what I said last week. It's one of the most uninspired games of all time. I don't know why it exists. I don't know what its designers were thinking. I don't know whether they stuck a load of ideas in a pot about what they thought might sell. I mean, it just it's disjointed and it's bereft of any kind of care or attention or passion or anything. I mean, it's awful. You play it's one of these. It's a 4-player co-op primarily local, but you can do it online as well. These 4 orcs, Sir Niff, Lord Pooh, Doc Turd, Friar Crap.
Friar Crap.
And you basically run around a series of narrow and very poorly animated worlds, pressing 2 buttons, a light attack and a hard attack. The hard attack is the guard break. And then you can belch and fart after building up your gas meter, which you do by engaging in combat. With those moves, the belching and the farting, it's impossible to gauge attack range, and the duration is just, it varies wildly. The game feels, if not broken, well, broken implies that it doesn't work. It's just, I'm speechless. As I said last week, it looks and plays like a Nintendo 64 game, more so than any game since the Nintendo 64. It's so poorly made, and not to say that Nintendo 64 games are poorly made. I mean, it looks like a Nintendo 64, but there was a surplus of 4-player sort of games of this kind. I played enough of them. One thing I said last week is that they were very clever about the fact that they locked everything off. So if you were looking at the trial and you looked at what the leaderboards were doing to see if people were playing it, you had to buy the full version. Now I have the full version. I checked the leaderboards and I saw that there was over 5,000 people on the leaderboards, and my jaw dropped. I thought, there's 5,000 people that want to play this game. Foul play, a passable and at times pretty good Xbox Live Arcade game I spoke about a few weeks ago that's fairly new had barely 300.
Yeah.
This had 5,000 plus. So I just thought, I'm out of touch. I don't understand why people are playing this, but I found out that they've been equally crafty, because you can play the game for a second in the trial and you make the leaderboards.
Oh, right.
So it looks like all these people are playing it when they're not. I didn't investigate further. I'd like to see, if I'd have looked further up, I would have sort of probably been able to ascertain that there was 2 people playing it in the world, and they might have been the guys that made it. I don't know. I also spoke about something last week, is that there's a evasive maneuver where you press the right bumper, and for some reason, throughout the whole of the trial, it kept coming up with this message: take a break between RB ... use RB to roll. I still don't know what that means, and that message still comes up every single time you press the evasive maneuver. There's performance issues like you've never seen. The frame rate I said was bad in the cutscenes. Believe me, the frame rate is bad in all of the game. There's slowdown that you've not seen this generation. I guarantee it. It's unreal. Sometimes, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but the camera locks, so you occasionally can't see where you're going. It will just lock, and you can't move it, and then sometimes you can move it, and then sometimes you can't. It just seems to be completely at random. There's a bit, an escort mission where you protect an NPC, and I failed it not once, not twice, but 3 times, because he blindly walked into the water and drowned himself, sending me back to the beginning of the level, which was an absolute joy.
Top boy.
The other thing is that seemingly,
whoa, excuse me,
seemingly to give it some kind of point of difference, rather than use a button, if you have to do something like open a drawbridge or replenish your health by standing next to a rune, you have to take one of the thumbsticks in your hand and you wallop the thumbstick, like batter it, left to right so fast. And I just thought, after I did that a few times, I just thought, I'll plug my Kinect in and show you me destroying one of my own pads. It's like a ploy. Honestly, the amount of times it happens, I'm just like, are you trying to get me to destroy one of my pads? It's like they can't be, their legacy will never be computer games, so maybe their legacy will be the senseless destruction of innocent people's video game peripherals. But anyway, after that started to annoy me, a new enemy turned up and he jumps on your back. And the only way to get him off is to waggle the shit out of your... Yeah, so that was a little bit annoying. But also, partially, if you've paid money for this game, you kind of deserve a little bit of collateral damage. It's your own fault. Sometimes, in games in general, in all games almost, there are pointers and tips in the loading screens between levels. That's just... almost every game has that. This one has one, and it says, if you're finding the game difficult, ... And I thought, oh, well, knock it down to easy. No, it says, if you're finding this game difficult, why not just get your friends to buy the game and you can do it on co-op? I was like, yeah, nice, really nice. It could be classed as entertainment only in the same way that you could say that shit could be a foodstuff. It is it's one of the worst games I've ever played, and it is every bit as depressing and mundane as that makes it sound. It's awful. I'm upset with myself for playing it. It's a 1 out of 10 game.
Wow.
only because I don't think I can give it 0 out of 10 for who I'm writing it for. But Orc Attack Flatulent Rebellion, I don't. Most offensive about it is that it wasn't.
So it's going to be all right. It's all going to be all right.
I doubt it.
Fire crap.
Friar Crap, Sir Niff, Lord Pooh, Doc Turd, Professor Shit. The guy that kept drowning himself, he was called like fucking Shit Pun as well.
Shit pun it.
Did you play the demo? You didn't, did you?
I didn't. I know you asked me to, and I almost did, but then I filled up my list nicely, and I realised I didn't have to. So I'm kind of happy about that. I still will. I'll try and play it next week.
I don't know what it's doing in this fucking century. Or indeed, I don't know what it's doing in the world. Honestly, it's one of those situations where I could meet the nicest guy in the world, and he could go, "Oh, I developed Orc Attack, Flatulent Rebellion, get the fuck out of here!" Honestly, it's so bad, so fucking bad.
Yeah. Quite a contrast to my number 2 then. It's Rayman Legends on PlayStation 3, in fact.
Oh, yeah.
I know people had been... someone had asked us, a couple of people had asked us, why haven't we covered this yet? And it was simply a case of, basically came out the same week as GTA, didn't it? I think so.
It was definitely in the same space.
Yeah, it came out at a time which was just completely untenable. I managed to get around to playing it now, and... it's lovely. It looks absolutely gorgeous. 1080p on the PS3, obviously, and you know what it is. It's 2D Rayman, much like Origins. It looks even nicer than Origins. Plays beautifully, but you can tell it is a Wii U game. This is a Wii U game. Because half of the levels, you're joined by this guy called Murphy. I say guy, it's like a green floating, flying thing. I don't know what he is. Yeah. And he is the guy, if you played the demo on Wii U, or indeed if you played it on Wii U, he is the guy that you control via the gamepad, and he can do stuff like cut ropes and Rayman will walk along, or there's different things you can manipulate in every level. There's like a food-based level, he can squirt guacamole on certain parts of the level that act as platforms and stuff. All the stuff he can do is really clever. But... it's designed for not only a touchscreen, but a separate touchscreen. It so clearly is, and how they compensate for it on console, sorry, I should say on PS3 or Xbox, is by basically you just press circle/B to get him to do what he needs to do. And, it's kind of a feeble version of what was quite interesting on the gamepad. So when he'll fly to the rope that needs to be cut, you press circle, he cuts it. He'll fly to the bit where the guacamole needs to be squirted, press circle, he'll squirt it. It's a bit of a letdown, and I'd say almost 40% of the levels that I've played so far with him in it, it is a huge chunk of the game. As you get better at it, you can kind of still get into a flow with Rayman and use the circle button as it happens to keep moving. So, I think they've done probably the best possible job they could have in converting it from what is a very Wii U-specific thing to a normal controller. But at the moment, I'm not enjoying it as much as I was enjoying Origins, just because that was just pure platforming flow, whereas this has that, and then these levels just really aren't as good, which is a shame because everything else about it is better. All the different variety in the levels is really cool, and like I said, it does look better. And it has those brilliant musical levels, which are they're like some of the best levels you'll play this year, without question. Where everything goes in time to the music, and it's just so funny and charming, and just so clever. And it's the type of thing you could pull anyone into the room of any age group, any generation, and they'd be blown away by that. But yeah, those Murphy levels, man. I always knew that I wanted to play the Wii U version, and I'm kind of annoyed that I haven't, because I'm sure they're great on Wii U, but I'm just not really... Every time one comes up, it's just a bit like, oh, all right, I'll get through this one, and then I'll get another good level afterwards. But I don't want to be too down on it, because it's still good enough that I want to get through that stuff. And at its best, during the normal Rayman sections that I played, and some of the boss fights are pretty cool. I mean, it's fantastic. But yeah, it's a Wii U game. It just is, and it was, obviously.
I mean, all of the positive reviews it got, the 10 out of 10 Eurogamer and stuff like that, did they specify whether it was the Wii U version that they played?
No, they played the 360 version on Eurogamer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and... Mate, if you'd never played the Wii U version and you never knew that's what it was supposed to be, I don't think it would be a huge problem, because it's not like they don't work. But I just wanted to play as normal Rayman and not have to deal with all that stuff. And sometimes he doesn't quite get to the thing quick enough. So if you're trying to do it quickly, he'll be stuck on the previous little obstacle in the course, whether it be dragging a platform from left to right, or sometimes you have to like tickle a bad guy or something like that. So say a bad guy comes up and you want him to jump onto the bad guy to tickle him so he can lift his arms up so you can hit him so you can keep moving, but he doesn't quite get there in time. I mean, it's not like he's lagging at the previous bit for 2 seconds. He'll get there within half a second, but it's just enough that if you're trying to go full pelt, you're going to die, or you have to stop and kind of break that flow. Small annoyances, but enough that whenever those levels appear, I'm not excited about playing them. And eventually, I think that's what made me turn it off. I will go back to it though.
Why did Ubisoft send out 360 copies for a review, and/or why did Eurogamer choose to review that? Everyone knows it's a Wii U game. That seems a bit strange.
Yeah, it's very strange. I can't answer either of those questions. I would guess on the second one that was what they were sent. I'm sure that they would have chosen to review. I would guess they would have chosen to review Wii U.
But why would Ubisoft not want it to be to its best?
That I can't answer.
It's weird.
Yeah.
That's
but
weird.
I was going to get the Vita version, and I read loads and loads of user reviews saying that those levels on Vita are a nightmare because they do make you use the touchscreen, but you don't have a separate touchscreen on Vita, so apparently it's the case of you can't see what you're doing because your finger's in the way.
Right.
And especially like I've got pretty big hands, not like kiddie hands or anything like that, and I will just cover the screen. And having played it on PS3, I could see that I'm actually kind of glad that I dodged the bullet there because that would do my head in. So yeah, that kind of sucks too. For some reason, they haven't included the normal controls. Sorry, the PlayStation/360 controls in the Vita version. Apparently, that plus the fact there's a bunch of levels missing from it at the moment that they still haven't patched back in means that I'm steering clear. Shame, but I don't want to be too down on a game because when it's good, it's absolutely breathtaking.
Okay, I'd love to play it one day.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, just so you know, just for the hell of it, John got sent 2 copies of this game, one for me, one for him. He forwarded it to me. He was going to forward it to me, and rather than check my address, contact me to check my address, or check my address, which I know he has in emails. He just.
I did contact you to check your address. You just didn't reply in time.
Wasn't it 10
That's
seconds before you went to the post office?
It's about 45 minutes.
So what John did is he just guessed the address, pin the tail on the donkey. I went down to try and intercept it. It's a fucking derelict building.
I got the road right.
Well done. It's a fucking long road. Anyway, maybe I'll get it one day. Maybe I'll find. Maybe the post office. I don't know. I still
reckon you'll end up with it.
I filed some kind.
Well, they're not going to post it into a derelict building.
I know they're not, but what do they do with it? Because didn't you send it the cheapest possible route, like second class fucking?
Yeah, but that doesn't make it. But the thing is, as you'll see, when it does turn up, I underlined your surname. So they'll know. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know why I did it. I walked half an hour in the rain. Everything went wrong. It was just a bad morning. It was a terrible morning.
Well, you should have phoned me, but well done. Well done.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's. Yeah, like I said, no excuses. It was just me at my lowest. I think that was me at my lowest this year.
Okay. Well, at least you're playing Rayman. All right. Okay. Well, look, my number 2 is Beyond Two Souls on the PlayStation 3. I finished it. I still think it's very good. Really good.
Good.
I think more people should play it. There's been no. How did it chart? Did it sell?
It hit the top 10. I don't know how well it's done. I don't think it's one of those games that needs to do incredibly well for it to be considered a success internally. This is speculation, but it feels like one of those prestige titles that they want associated with their machine as much as it needs to do 7 million copies to break even or whatnot. That's my interpretation of the Quantic games.
I know what you mean, but a flop is a flop, and I hope...
Yeah. I mean, I guess not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of, as I said last week, a lot of people, I was worried because a lot of people have said that it goes right off the rails at the end. I didn't really find that. I thought the penultimate level, which was the action bit, which was really dark and loud and 9 out of 10 doors are locked and you just wander around this.
Oh, yeah.
That really wound me up. And there were things blocking your way that earlier on in the game were puzzles and now they just weren't. They were just blocking your way. I mean, that and it's like anticlimactic because I thought that was the end. It wasn't. I'm kind of glad it wasn't, but when after all that and it didn't end, you're just like, I went through that shit for nothing. Although I didn't, because it gets better at the end, I thought. Ellen Page is really, really good in it. I mean, she's brilliant in it, in fact. But now that I've done the whole game, Willem Dafoe really was a very strange choice. If only because he's not the most expressive actor in the world. So as good as you can see, his performance probably was in the flesh. When it's not captured by a camera, you're looking at a very blank, expressionless face a lot of the time. So I thought he was a strange choice. Throughout the whole of the game, it continued to do really interesting things. And there was one bit that the date when she's getting ready for the date, which you spoke about before. Afterwards, you're forced into to be the poltergeist, Aiden, essentially, and you're kind of invited to behave like a bastard, although she doesn't want you to. And then it turns out you react immediately to the guy she's with, and you're kind of sort of pulled between playing the game and being a shithead and it plays with your expectations, and I just thought that was really clever because it was
I thought the whole scene was great.
It deliberately put those in that order because you met this guy at a certain point and you disliked it. It's full of things that I thought were actually genuinely clever. Did you see David Cage's sort of Hitchcock style cameo?
No.
Did you not? I spotted it and I was like, that's strangely sick. Why would he pick that person to be? But I thought it was nice. A nice little moment. I think this game, one thing that it made me realise is that I don't really like big choices. I got a very... I mean, I know there's several different endings. I got a happy ending, but a very melancholy one. And as soon as it finished, I was like, I want to see what the other ones are like. That's why I quite like Spec Ops: The Line so much, because after it stopped, it sort of basically said, do you want to go and see what could have happened? It's like, immediately I took that straight away. And I remember when I used to read those fighting fantasy books when I was a kid, I could never change the page without looking and seeing what the other one first, what the other option was. So, regardless of whether you died, if you took left and right path, I'd always have to... I don't know. I just don't like making those choices. It's kind of weird. It made me think I would like it if there was a kind of Memento game where it starts and then you can kind of build on what you start with. So it goes backwards and then everything you do kind of, and then you end up like George McFly. You can reshape it. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds good though. I'll play that.
The problems. Is there going to be DLC?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'd be surprised because...
It's quite costly. I mean, getting that band back together is not going to be cheap.
And the PS3's kind of finished now. True, and I'd be surprised, The Heavy Rain never really had DLC in the end, did it? It had that chapter they'd already made.
I did like that, though. That was like a horror movie in 40 minutes and really tense. But they did promise things that never arrived with that. I don't think I'll ever find the time to go through it again. I might be wrong.
No, I won't. I doubt.
But I did really think rather highly of it. I mean, it was truly thought-provoking and entertaining. And if I think you should leave your misconceptions about David Cage at the door if you're even vaguely interested, because I think it does deliver. And as I said before I finished it, I think it would be a shame if people sort of dismissed it outright, because it is. I mean, like I said, thought-provoking and entertaining. And what more do you want?
Yeah, I'll only add one little thing to that. It's so easy to pick out one line in a 1,000-page script that might be clunky or shit, and there are a few. Fine if you don't like it, and I'm not trying to say that you're wrong, right? But if you pick out the line and you tweet it, say, and someone else reads that, retweets it, and that retweets and retweets, and you're the seventh person down the line, you read that and you go, "Fuck it, David Cage." Just think about what you've done and just try and go back to the beginning and see if it actually is that shit, or whether or not you're just being really dismissive. That's all I'll say. And you might be right. You might be shit, and you might have hated it all along. But you will be a more complete and happy person if you make those decisions for yourself.
Has there been a line that people have sort of jumped on of any?
Oh, I've heard a few. I can't even think of any right now. But people do it all the time. I'm not just talking. People do it all the time in movies. More in movies, in fact, which is probably why it's happening in this game. But that kind of thing, I am more than guilty of it many times in my life, as I am with almost everything that I've ever said that people shouldn't do. But you can try and grow and learn, and don't be a Twitter bitch.
Yeah, I do. Relentless cynicism is so fucking so tedious, so boring. Just
if you're feeling relentlessly cynical, play Super Wagon Adventure and sort your fucking life out.
Yeah, true that. That's Twitter. It just gives everyone wants to look like they're fucking Truman Capote sat there with a fag going, "Oh, fucking snide." I'm just like,
you almost did a fucking bang on impression of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then he just gave it up within about a quarter of a syllable.
No, I don't think that. I'm glad I didn't try it, and I'm glad people didn't have to hear that. Not that I know how to do it anyway. It's your number 2 now, isn't it? No, it's your number 1.
No, yeah, my number 1 is the same as yours, GTA Online.
Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah, sorry everyone who listens. It's GTA again. I'm having much more fun with it now, I think, because I've leveled up a bit more, mainly because of the fact it doesn't seem to be broken anymore, or largely not broken. Still a few issues here and there, but nothing too game breaking, and just really enjoying the free roam kind of emergent madness that occurs. One great thing that happened this week when I was playing with my bro is we started doing impromptu races, and he just set one up. We were pretty much downtown in Los Santos, both driving those sports cars that you get for free. If you don't know that, by the way, go online on your phone, go to the sports car page, and one of them is free. So if you need a good car, do that. And then he basically set an impromptu race with the start there and the finish at almost the top of Mount Chiliad. And so we drove, it's about 7 miles, which took fucking forever. And honestly, driving down the city was fun, driving up the freeway was fun, but trying to get 2 sports cars up Mount Chiliad together was absolutely hilarious. Just thinking that you've made it and then watching the other guy fly over the top of you and fall down the thing. I mean, tears of laughter. It was one of the best things I've done in the whole game. It was absolutely revelatory. So definitely do that if you get the chance. Please do that, because it's so fun. And then it's just been a week of fun stuff like that for me. Less missions, more just fun daft stuff in the world. As you rank up, more stuff happens, doesn't it? More things seem to happen in the open world. It seems to be a bit fuller. So yeah, digging it.
Yeah, just thinking back, your bro. Yeah, I think he took me and Zeno on that impromptu race because we were going up a hill. The thing is that we'd just done a job where I sort of, in a frenzy, nicked the worst car in the world. So they did all right, but I was just like trying to get up the tiniest bit of the mountain at the bottom. One thing I haven't mentioned, and I keep noticing it online, the scripted traffic drives me mental because it modifies instant. Like if you're driving at a certain speed and there's a race that I've done a couple of times where you shoot off a bridge and sort of it's quite a narrow gap that you have to get through. Cars will drive at a certain, and you can see you're going to make it, and then he'll just speed up to get in your way, and then sometimes they'll slow down to. I mean, it just seems like the traffic's designed to stitch you up. It's kind of like, in like Halo, where the guys, as soon as you put the crosshairs on, they just stay in cover. It's like, well, that's rubbish. What am I supposed to do? I've noticed it so much online, even in free roam when you're driving around, the traffic will. If you could stop, accelerate really quickly, it will just try and stitch you up. I've noticed it a lot. Maybe it's just me. I'm sure it's not. I do love the way vendettas. I mean, that guy that we were fighting with today. I love that. I mean, he killed me 11 times and I killed him once. But between the three of us, I think we came out a little bit better in the end. But I love those vendettas. I mean, I got into one the other day where I kept killing this poor guy who almost killed me repeatedly, and I kept ducking into this shop and getting loads of food, so I got my health back. But anyway, I thought he got bored, so I went up to go, because I hadn't met Trevor at that point, so I started driving up to go meet Trevor, and I got out of my car and I was checking the map to set a waypoint, and I saw he was coming behind me. I was like, fuck, and I started shouting to everyone, all my mates. I was like, fuck, you've got to head him off. Drive up to where I am. I'll try and keep him busy, but you've got to head him off. And basically he ran into an ambush eventually, and that's brilliant. I sticking a bounty on like one of your own guys and then just kind of holding up and waiting for people to come after you, that's brilliant.
I haven't done that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but it was. I remember just how I almost jumped out of my skin when I was checking the map, setting a waypoint, and I just saw this guy was right on me. And I was for 10 minutes. I was like, guys, you got to come help me. I can't remember his name. He had like a typical Xbox Live icon, like fucking bemused chew or like ironic tortoise. I was like, quick, fucking, we've got to kill the ironic tortoise. Have you done any survival missions? The Horde.
I've done a few, but not for a while. Yeah.
I don't know how you're supposed to get to wave 10. Can't be possible.
Yeah, I've heard it. People do it, but I thought it was too hard.
I didn't really. I thought you might have to rank up to beyond 100 or something because it's so tough. We haven't got the money yet, have we?
No, I haven't got the cash, the 500 grand that's promised. It was the first drop was supposed to be this week, but I've not heard of anybody having got it yet. So imagine if they just didn't do it after saying it.
I don't think people would care, to be honest.
No, I mean, I went round someone's apartment. I haven't got one myself, but do you can buzz on the door?
Yeah.
Yeah, a guy just let me in, which was nice of him. So I just walked around, looked at his cars, took a shower in his shower, smoked his bong, watched TV, watched watched my brother get into a ruckus with a bunch of policemen on TV. It was really good. And then I left. He'd already gone.
Could you shoot him?
No, but I thought, what a nice chap. He left me in there.
Well, I suppose if you can't do anything, you can't like exactly trash the place, can you?
No, but it was nice, and you can actually genuinely look out of the window and see what's going on, which is clever. It's not like completely instanced off or anything. Actually, you're actually still part of the world.
Yeah, they have started drip feeding elements of the single player into the multiplayer as well. I've noticed that I've seen pickpockets. What else did I see? Something. There are NPCs running around that you have to fight with that aren't police. So I think it seems like they're steadily building up. To sort of make it vaguely more reminiscent of the single player.
I mean, maybe they just had to strip everything out at first just to get the fucking thing working.
Yeah, I'm sure. So it's whether they can be prepared, because this feels like something I'm going to be playing for quite some time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Some people are really upset about the whole money situation, because since the patch, you only get half money if you do a mission a second time. Is that right?
Yeah.
I have to say, I have been constantly for the last 10 hours of playing it, floating around the 50 grand mark and not being able to sort of get much more than that.
Yeah, it's tough, definitely.
Yeah, but I suppose it's all. I mean, Zeno's already found cheats, and him and your brother were doing it. If you drive in two different directions after completing a mission, you'll both get the car, so you can go and sell that and make like 30 grand a pop.
Oh right.
So you can do that for the moment. I don't know how long for, because they will inevitably patch it. It's quite a good game, I'd say.
It's tremendous. I'm really, really enjoying it, especially today where the car disappeared. Yeah. If you want to watch a funny YouTube video, go on the Chet and John channel, and there's a video of where my car disappeared, and I was just driving around as a floating man. At the time, it was hilarious. Chet made a video. I think the video is even funnier than what happened in real life. It's a game of moments, and I look forward to many more exciting and hilarious moments. Mainly hilarious. And just seeing what they roll out next with the DLC that's going to be free.
Yeah, can't wait. I mean, it's also, it has to be said, it's nice to see it working. It feels stable at the moment.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like all that nightmare stuff is kind of a thing of the past now.
Yeah, I mean, earlier today, when I was trying to shoot that guy, I've forgotten his name, the guy who we were like
Baracho 85.
Is that right? Yeah. It was like a 90-minute vendetta of us three versus him. But all three of you, your brother and him, were in choppers flying about trying to shoot each other, and I was trying to pop him with a pistol, and there was no slowdown, there was nothing. I mean, you were going far away, drifting back in. So yeah, it does have this ability that it didn't even hint at before. So I think it feels like they're rebuilding not from scratch, but I think it's gradually working its way to be the game that it always should have been, which is quite special.
Yes indeed. Well, yeah, thank you very much for listening to us talk about GTA again. Sorry about that if you're not interested in Grand Theft Auto, but most people seem to be. And thank you very much for listening overall. That's another one in the can, as they say. Don't forget to check out the Twitter, at John Denton, at Chet Roivas, and at Chet and Johns. There's the YouTube channel. I imagine there's going to be a bunch more amusing Grand Theft Auto stuff going up on there at the moment, because they seem to have done quite well today for us in terms of hits. And it's just funny to see all the stuff that happens in that game. It's worth watching a lot of it again. So go and hit like and subscribe on that if you like that shit. And then don't forget to give us game recommendations on Twitter, feedback on Twitter. Just talk to us. We want to have conversations. That's all good. Well, I do anyway. I don't know about Chet. He's a bit miserable. But thank you very much as always. iTunes reviews, come round. Send us parcels. Come and let's go and hang out, have an arm wrestle. Whatever you want to do, just let me know.
Yeah, indeed, I echo that. And also, if you have any interest at all in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, that's the reason why some of my list last week and this week have been a little bit ho-hum, because that's all I've been doing near enough. So if you're interested in Assassin's Creed 4, it'll be on the show next week, but I'm going to do a video review which will go live on Tuesday morning when the embargo drops. I think it's Tuesday morning on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in Assassin's Creed 4, and you should be, or should you, Tuesday. So but thanks very much for listening. Hopefully see you next week.
Cheers. Oh, and the reason Batman wasn't in this one is because they didn't send out review code until
launch
the day of release. Yes. So that'll be next week as well. Peace.
Miller!
Sir, yes, sir!
Let me see your war face.
Sir!
You got a war face? Ah! That's a war face! Now let me see your war face!
I need to quit being so damn lazy, don't I?
Even when we used to play Samba de Amigo back in the day on a control pad, it didn't quite give me that, but I still enjoyed what I played. It does stuff like the enemies will be coming from the different directions, and then perhaps they'll come but two at a time, so you have to press two at a time, or you have to do a thing where you have to do a double tap, or different color enemies come on the upbeat instead of the downbeat. All cool. I went and checked out some reviews of it, and it's really mixed actually. But the thing is that all of the negative reviews, almost all of them, slate the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack is stuff ranging from bands like Pendulum through to a lot of like new metal stuff. Weirdly, Papa Roach and things like that. And everyone's like, "Oh, new metal's awful." Fine if you hate new metal. I used to like it when I was a kid. Most of it is pretty bad these days, but. One thing that I've known from playing a lot of this genre of game is that a bad song can be made good by a good rhythm action game. I really like the Pink song in Rock Band Blitz. I would never listen to that song. I'd never listened to it before, but playing it on that game, for some reason, a bad song can be a good rhythm action song. So I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I'd give it the benefit of the doubt. But I would like to play the full game, definitely. I'll hopefully get around to picking up the full thing. But it's cool.
I think I'm pretty sure a listener recommended it like before it came out, and there was like a launch trailer, and I just thought it looked great. And I think when I mentioned it to you, I wasn't in a position to play it, but now I am. So maybe I'll speak about it sometime.
Oh.
Okay, right. My number 10 is Rambo on arcade. Our mutual friend Tom came down to Brighton for the weekend, and in the middle of a sort of very, very laid-back pub crawl, we went on Brighton Pier. First of all, everything's branded. I think I might have said this before, but everything is branded. Even those sort of moving shelves that push coins down, those ridiculous things that's still the most popular thing there. They've got Angry Birds on them.
Really?
All of everything is branded. The most popular arcade machines were Temple Run, where you just play Temple Run but with a ball, and pretty sure it's brand new.
That's crazy.
That might be completely wrong. I'm going on the fact of how pristine the cabinet looks.
Right.
And did I have anything? No, I should really have checked a bit further. I looked around the side of the cabinet for a developer, and I couldn't seem to find that. There's loads of footage from the movies in it, which is the best thing about it. It's rubbish. Rambo, I've spoken too much.
I remember playing a Rambo game when I was a kid on a C64, I think it was, and I thought it was amazing. But I thought every game was amazing when I was that age. I was about 6. Right, my number 9, another game with Beat in the title, Beat Sliders on PlayStation Vita. So, as people who've been listening to the podcast for the last few weeks know, I fell in love with a game called Velocity, which is made by Future Lab, who are based down in Brighton, and so decided to hoover up their back catalogue, all of which you can get on Vita, which is great. Beat Sliders was the first one that I picked up. It costs, I think, like 60p or something. You can find it on the PlayStation mobile section of the PSN store. Really interesting game. I think it was a PlayStation mobile launch game. It is basically, those sliding puzzles that are a nightmare.
Yes.
It's one of those, but it's much better because it's also a sequencer, like synth. Is that what it's called? A sequencer, like a Moog.
A Moog?
No. Why don't I ever know anything? A sequencer. So like with tracks and. A sequencer. I'm pretty sure it's called sequencer.
Okay.
So 4x4 sequencer, and each tile is a part of a track basically, and you're trying to make a song as you're doing the sliding puzzle, and it's been designed ingeniously. So even when you're doing it back to front, or the things are in the wrong place, it's still making a tune. And then when you finally do slot it all together, the tune gets better and it's more satisfying. Very, very clever. On the website, they say that this will teach you how to do sliding puzzles, but I don't think they estimated quite how bad I am at sliding puzzles. So I still couldn't do it, and it just ended up being frustrating because I'm just I've always been useless. I always remember my Man-at-Arms from He-Man sliding puzzle that I got given for Christmas when I was a little kid and just didn't understand it, and the things used to get stuck, and it was my worst toy. So this...
What was the other one? Bejeweled. Like people were just queuing up to play games that they already have on their phones. It was quite weird. But anyway, looking through all of this stuff, and we find this Rambo, a shooter, gun arcade,
Like a light gun game.
light gun game, yeah. 2 players, and I just thought, okay, we might as well have a go on that because I've never heard of it. I don't know who's made it, and I thought it might be worth a look. As we were putting our coins into it, Tom made a very astute point, which is, if it's that great, why is all of the rolling insert coin footage from the films and not the game itself? Which is an excellent point. And when we started the game, you can see why. Because it looks... I mean, it doesn't look like Operation Wolf, but it does not look like a game that's been made in this century, certainly.
Right.
And it shows a scene from the film. I think, Rambo 3, where you're in the desert, and then it cuts to the game, and the magazines are so large that you literally just stand there. There's no feedback at all. There's no visual feedback, and there's no rumble or anything. So, as Tom said, I remember when I spoke about the Expendables 2 game months ago, I said I might as well be grinding pepper on the screen rather than shooting. And Tom said, I feel like I'm watering someone's garden. And that's it. We were just there waving our arms left to right, and it was really easy because you just... The magazines are so huge, you occasionally shoot off screen. Just after you shot a certain number of enemies, a rage meter, you tap a button. Stallone does that scream he does from Rambo 2.
Oh,
and then,
God, yeah.
But it was so easy. I just thought, for about 5 minutes, you're just waving your arm around and getting 1,000,000 kills. And I just thought, this is like the opposite of every arcade machine because it just wants you to play it. And then it does such a snide thing to try and take you by surprise. It basically cuts to that footage from Rambo 3 when he pulls the bow back in preparation to shoot a bow at that chopper.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to the game. It's like, someone shoot. It's designed to rattle you, so you just shoot, but you've got 1 bullet between you, and if you miss, you both lose a life. So luckily, Tom was so disinterested he didn't notice, and I just shot and I managed to get it. After that, it became ridiculously difficult, and it was like play more credits. I mean, it's rubbish. It's it feels like a relic, even though it was probably only made perhaps this year.
Really? Oh, so it's not actually ancient?
Rich is dead. Poor bastard.
Hello and welcome to episode 85 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
What Guan?
As usual, there's going to be 2 top 10 lists, the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. Number 10 is the games we've played the least. Number 1 is the games we've played the most. That's it, John, let's do this thing.
My number 10 is a game called Kickbeat on PlayStation Vita, a game that you told me to play. I hadn't heard of it. I thought you meant Dive Kick, another game that I'd meant to play on Vita, which I still haven't played. That fighting game, don't know if you've heard of that. Anyway, I haven't played that. I've played Kickbeat, which is a combination of a beat-em-up and a rhythm action game, which sounds like my cup of tea, obviously, and yours.
Yeah.
Now, how it works is you're a dude that stands in the middle of the screen, and he is approached by enemies from above, from the right, from below, and from the left. At 90 degrees from each, just like the face buttons of a control pad. And when the enemies come to you, you hit the appropriate button. That's the basic game, and they come in time to the music. So you smack them to the beat, as it were. You kick them to the beat. It's and it's fine. It's quite good. The idea is great, to be honest, and it looks nice. When I was playing it, and I only played the trial, I haven't played the full game, but when I was playing it, when you play a really great rhythm action game, it kind of gives you enough feedback that you almost feel like you're interacting with the music.
Yeah.
And this kind of felt like I was in time with the music, but it wasn't really the way the sound effects work when you kick or hit the enemies. It didn't really feel like it was part of the music; it just felt like the music was there, and. So it didn't really get me into that same sort of flow state as something like Rock Band Blitz or... that's not going to change 26 years later or whatever. Great game for people with brains. I'm not one.
When you say sliding puzzle, you mean the one where one block's missing and you have to move?
Yes.
Yeah, they are horrible. A horrible invention. But how much was that? 60p, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough.
Maybe 69. It's like a nominal amount of money.
Yeah, right. Okay, my number 9 is Virtua Tennis 4 on the PlayStation Vita. I now own a PlayStation Vita. I've picked up the deal that almost everyone's picked up because I believe someone told me there was now shortages. A ridiculous deal that Argos did. But anyway, Virtua Tennis 4 came free with it. I turned it on just to have a look. I still like Virtua Tennis 4. The stupid board game campaign where you're moving with you buy those tickets. Did you ever play through?
I don't think I played the campaign.
Oh, it's daft. I mean, you move around this map and you have get given these tickets and they equate to different numbers of moves. I mean, it's stupid, but I really quite enjoy it. It looks really good on the Vita. I mean, almost
I've heard that. Yeah,
almost the same as I say it looks on the larger consoles. But the player sprites look rubbish. I mean, they look like they belong on a PSP. I mean, there's no detail. I mean, I've just picked a generic guy. Created, a randomly created character, and he had blonde hair, and so the back of his head, he just looked like a Lego man. And it was just nice. It was the first thing I put in the Vita when I got it. It's still, there are still annoyances with I don't know. There's still aspects of the PlayStation 3. Like I went to go and play online. It's like upgrade the live area, and I was like, what the fuck is a live area? And I searched around for it, and I couldn't find it. And you have to go. It just made me jump through hoops. It annoyed me. But anyway, Virtua Tennis 4, it's fine. If you want to buy it, you can pick it up for a penny because I think 90% of the people who got it with this bundle put theirs on eBay. Because I had a look yesterday, and there's 6,000 ending in 1 second, and they're all going for less than 1p. If that's something. So if you want
might do that.
It's 0 pence.
Mm.
No, 1p. Sorry.
1 penneth. Okay. I'd always I've heard that was good. I think it was on PS Plus at one point, but I missed it. But I always quite fancy playing it.
Shell out a penny. Check for one of those
I'll shell a pen.
selling it for 1.